We'll start with a brief statement, kind of summarizing what we put out in our press release and then open it up to questions. My name is Kara Van Hoos, that's K-A-R-A, capital V-A-N, space, capital H-O-O-S-E. I'm a spokesperson with Colorado Parks and Wildlife. To my left, your right, is Mark Leslie, that's M-A-R-K-L-E-S-L-I-E, Northeast Region Manager for Colorado Parks and Wildlife. To my right, your left, Matt Aldridge, M-A-T-A-L-L-D-R-E-D-G-E, Mammals Researcher for Colorado Parks and Wildlife. I just want to open this with saying, I'm sure you all have seen the autopsy report and victim identification from Larimer County Coroner. Our thoughts and our hearts go out to this family. This is an unbelievable tragedy and a rarity in our area, so we want to start by saying we're thinking of her family and her loved ones at this time while they go through this process. We have wrapped our search for the third mountain lion in the area of Crosier Mountain Trail in Larimer County, where an attack happened last week. Those trails should be open to the public now. And we also have a couple of results from necropsies that were performed on 2 lions euthanized last week as well. But first, let's recap the events of the attack. So on January 1st, hikers came across a woman lying on Crosier Mountain Trail with a mountain lion over her. As they approached the scene, they started yelling and throwing rocks at the lion to scare it from the area, and the lion ran away. One of the hikers was a physician who attended to the woman and did not find a pulse. They called 911. CPW officers, Larimer County Sheriff's Office deputies, Estes Park Police, the Glen Haven area volunteer firefighters all started responding to the scene to launch an extensive search for any mountain lions in the area. 1 lion was found at the attack site and was shot and ran off. It was later euthanized by CPW officers on the ground. A 2nd lion was found nearby and was also euthanized by CPW officers on the ground. A 3rd lion was also spotted by CPW officers later that evening at the attack site, and that was the lion that we were searching for over the weekend and have not found. Necropsies were performed by CPW pathologists on those 2 lions. They are of a family group, a male and female subadult lions. The male was found to have human DNA on all 4 of its paws. The female lion did not have any human DNA that was detected. The lions tested negative for rabies and other neurological diseases as part of that testing process. We want to address a couple of the recent reports of mountain lion activity in the area as well. This is all, of course, in the press release, but on October 28th, a man was walking his dog off leash in the McGraw Ranch Road area of Estes Park. A mountain lion appeared, attacked, and killed his dog. This was later reported to CPW on November 20th. On October 29th, a woman was walking her dog off leash on West Creek Road in Glen Haven. A mountain lion appeared, attacking her and killing her dog. She reported it to CPW the next day. We responded to this area and were unable to find any lions. On November 12th, a man was trail running on Crosier Mountain Trail, noticed a lion in front of him, and was able to successfully haze the lion by throwing his phone and a tree branch. And the lion, this is not considered an attack because it does not make physical contact with a person. We responded to that area on the same day on November 12th and were unable to locate a lion. And we placed temporary signage in the area warning any sort of recreationists and people living in the community of mountain lion activity. Now there's permanent signage that's there year-round on Crosier Mountain Trail warning of just mountain lion habitat and presence in the area. It also gives tips on what to do if you come in contact with mountain lions and numbers where you can call and report mountain lion sightings. So that signage is there all the time, but temporary signage was placed in addition to those permanent signs on November 12th. On November 30th, a man and woman were hiking near Crosier Mountain Trail summit and saw a mountain lion in front of them and then also behind them, so a 2nd lion. They were able to successfully haze those lions away by throwing and yelling rocks and reported it to CPW by voicemail on November 30th, which was later received on December 1st. We responded to that area and did not find any lions. Temporary signage was placed after that incident and was there as well on January 1st, so on the date of that attack. On December 23rd, a man who lives off of County Road 43 in Glen Haven came outside to find a mountain lion attacking his dog. He tried to fight off that lion and then shot the lion, killing the lion. Our officers investigated, no citations were issued, and he contacted us on December 24th, so the next day. And just wanted to recap all of these to show you that mountain lion activity in Larimer County is common. There are a lot of lions that live in this area. It's pretty dense for this wildlife species, but also timeliness is really important when we talk about lions because they are so reclusive and solitary. They're not known to stick around in a place for too long. So when you do have a mountain lion encounter or conflict, it's really important to report it to us as soon as possible so our officers and our response can be the most effective. We're going to open it up to questions now where Matt can talk a little bit about mountain lion behavior and biology, and Mark can talk about any sort of mountain lion management decisions and moving forward.
Talking about some of those encounters that you just listed off for us, is there anything CPW wishes was reported sooner, differently? And can you help quantify if what you just listed out is average for that area or if that was an increase or decrease, anything like that?
I would say we want to know about all sorts of mountain lion activity. And this is true really of all big game. We ask the same for people who report any sort of bear or moose sightings. We just want to know because we don't live everywhere. We don't have eyes everywhere. So when you do come in contact with these animals, we just want to know. We're a data agency, so all data is good data to us. So yeah, tell us early and often.
And did that seem like an average amount of encounters you would get calls from October to now of this year in that area?
This is the time of year when we do take the majority of our mountain lion sightings and reports because during wintertime, mountain lions follow their main prey source, which is deer and elk. So deer and elk will come down from higher elevations to lower elevations to spend their winters, and lower elevations where just more people live in Colorado. So mountain lions are more visible this time of year. But Matt, do you want to talk about Larimer County as mountain lion habitat and density?
Sure. Yeah, the entire Front Range, Larimer County, Boulder County is incredible lion habitat, supporting some of the largest densities of lions that have been reported in the literature. There's consistent prey, deer and elk for lions to consume, and just really good cover and habitat for lions.
Is it your theory that the same family group that was involved in the other attacks is the same one that you believe is responsible for this one?
It's tough for us to say with 100% certainty that these are the same lions. But typically, lions will defend their own territory. Male adult lions will defend their own territory. So we do have reports of a group of lions that's been hanging out there. While we can't say for certain, it is interesting to note that there have been video and photos of a mother and some adults around.
Is there any suggestion that they were in some way habituated around humans, and could there be any theories as to how that might have happened if it did?
Mark?
Lions do become habituated around people at times, and so we encourage the public when lions are in proximity to them, if they can safely do so, to haze those lions away and try to scare them away in some means, and also give us a timely call if we can get there on the scene in time to haze the lions or take effective action. That's important for people to remember.
Yeah, Matt, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I think the habituated question is a good one because we've got lions that are living in and utilizing this urban wildland interface. So what is habituated? And lions have adjusted really well to use that area and use the natural resources within it, the deer and other prey items that are in there, and they do well there versus the habituation that Mark was getting at where they're much more comfortable around people. So we've got both things going on at that time of lions that have learned to live in that proximity of humans and prey on naturally occurring prey, and then lions that get way too comfortable around people and aren't running away from people and aren't afraid of people like they should. So I think both are going on in the situation.
As a follow-up, is there any suggestion that anybody may have been leaving carcasses out or animals out to feed the lions or anything like that in this area?
We're not aware of it.
It's happened with bears before.
We're not aware of that in this case.
Kristen, any questions online?
Yeah, I think it's Bloomhart.
Okay, yeah, do we wanna
ask him to
unmute? Miles, you wanna unmute on your end and ask questions?
Yeah, thank you, Miles Blumhart or Collins Colorado. Hey, Matt, looking at these sub-adults, how would you describe their behavior, the two that were euthanized and the one that wasn't? Typical, atypical? Then my follow-up question is, do we know, was that hiker, were they hiking, walking, bending over, anything like that when the attack occurred?
Let me address your second question there, Miles. We don't know. We know that she was hiking alone. That's all the information I think we have, or really, I don't think we'll know anything more there.
And just to follow up on that, get towards your first question, a lot of that we're not gonna know. We don't know the behavior of those sub-adults prior to the attack. We don't know what they've been doing. We know they were in the area. There's some indication that they were approaching people or not running from people, but there were several instances where they were hazed off. Just in general, at that age, these lions are about 12 months old. They're learning to hunt. They're learning, what search image, developing a search image for prey. So there's a lot of learning going on in there and a lot of instinctual behavior in terms of chasing things and trying to acquire prey. So all of that is going on in that age group versus the older age group that has that search image and knows what prey they're after and has developed those skills. So I think, that's something to consider, is just that age group and a lot of instinctual behavior in terms of chasing and trying to acquire prey.
Sorry, I got one quick one more. I've talked to you before and you said that, I believe you said that mountain lions don't really see humans as prey. Once they're taught, is that still true? Can you explain that, Matt?
Some of that, I think when I talked to you before, was based on my experience with some captive lions we had at our facility that we had raised up from kittens. And when I would take my kids out there at a smaller age, and those lions would ignore me versus a smaller, when my kids were smaller, they would definitely key in and act differently. So I think that's just getting back to the search image of how lions develop a search image for prey, and their prey, naturally occurring prey, is about 3 feet tall if we're talking about a deer. So that's their search image. And I think in general, humans are, adults are taller than that, and they're not fitting into that search image as well. There's still the curiosity from the mountain lions and what that is out there. So there'd be more of a curiosity there than viewing a fully grown human as prey.
I have a question for Matt and Mark, whoever would feel best suited to answer this question. But this one is with respect to, obviously you have these two particular lions afterwards that were eventually euthanized, but I do have to ask, how would you distinguish between an animal that has actively taken part in the killing of a person versus an animal that has stumbled upon a body post-mortem?
Well, given the fact that we knew one of the cats was near the victim and one of the first law enforcement officers on the scene shot that cat and wounded it, we were pretty sure that cat was involved because of the fidelity to that scene from the cat. And then for the situation of the second cat, when we get up in the area and our officers and the houndsmen found tracks and sign within a couple hundred yards of that location, that ties that cat to that area as well. And so as far as the cats that were involved in the attack, a lot of that happens after the lab analysis is done, so that we can tell if there's human DNA on a particular animal or not.
You did mention that one of the cats, the male, did have human DNA traces on their paws.
All four of them.
Were you able to find any traces of human DNA in the intestinal tract or anywhere else that you would expect or perhaps be looking to find it?
I don't believe we found any there. No.
But you are convinced that these two were involved in it?
Absolutely. Well, the one for sure, absolutely, and the other one was in close proximity. And as Matt has mentioned, they do travel in family groups occasionally. We've seen that. So At the time, we didn't know which animals or how many animals were involved in the supposed attack at the time. So we were erring on the side of being conservative.
Being that we've had all of these attacks over this, these specific dates, I do have to ask, is there any possibility that we are looking at potentially some of the same lions here that have been involved in more than one incident that we're looking at?
Certainly that, I think there's probably good evidence when you're talking about a family group there and multiple lions being sighted that family group was involved in some of those other incidences for sure. Being in that area at that age, a home range for mountain lions, a female like that's probably 100 square kilometers. So what, 6 by 6 miles? So a large area, but certainly encompasses those incident areas. So I definitely could be involved in those.
Yeah,
Cheryl Steinman, preliminary.
Sure. Charlotte, do you want to come off of mute and ask questions?
Yeah. Hi, I'm wondering if the permanent signage at Crosier is just near the trailhead or if it's throughout the trail. And also, how do you guys decide what mountain lion sightings you share with the public? Is it just attacks or do you also just share sightings?
Sure. I think the permanent signage is only at the trailhead. I'd have to double check on that. I'm only aware of the ones that are at the trailhead. I think we try to balance the needs of the public and the community and also the needs of wildlife when it comes to public notification. We have district wildlife managers known as wildlife officers who live and work in those communities who are constantly talking with residents and the public who have any sort of concerns. They are your 24/7 point of contact there, and they will gladly share any sort of information that you need, and also working with other law enforcement agencies as needed. I think at this point, mountain lion attacks on dogs they're not uncommon, especially this time of year. So that is something that if you live in mountain lion country, you know can happen and should be prepared to deal and live with wildlife.
I have a question. How do you guys decide when to euthanize a mountain lion? Only after a human death, or like you mentioned, attacks on pets like dogs that you've seen a few of in the past few months?
Mark?
We look at a pattern of behavior, and if an animal is exhibiting escalating behavior or animals in a particular area, say if we were getting numerous dogs taken in a small geographic area, that would raise our concerns, definitely. An animal that is very aggressive or dangerous towards a human is an animal that has gone above and beyond in our opinion and experience, and that is an animal that we would take out of the population.
So what's the concern level with that third lion still not being found if they are part of this family unit? Is it not a concern because it's an adult, so it already has the prey image, or is this one that maybe is still worth alarm?
Well, there is still a concern, obviously, because that animal was in fairly close proximity to the scene as well. But right now, we can't identify that animal particularly, so we don't know. So we will be very hyper vigilant in that area and responding like we do always to reports, calls, those types of situations. So that's where we're at with that now.
Kristen?
Miles.
Miles?
Yeah, I have another question. Given the spate of incidents there, one, would it have been prudent for Colorado Parks and Wildlife, this is probably to Mark, to maybe have more aggressive patrols in that area? Or how do you handle that when you have a spate of these? So it's been going on since October, and the response from CPW, I know I've had questions from readers say, why weren't you up there doing more to protect these trail users?
Miles, good question. And we are constantly thinking about our procedures and policies and how we work through these. And that particular situation, if you've been up on Crosier, I imagine, so a couple miles up the trailhead, some of these reports were, some of them were 20 days cold before we ever found out about them. Some were 2 or 3 days cold before we found out about them. And by the time a response would have been made on the site of where the incident took place, there wouldn't be any lions there to deal with. So that's one aspect of it. One of the legs that we use, obviously, that's an important part of our mission, is education and public and working with the public. And so we want to work with the residents up there and visitors to that area to identify, because of the signage, if they have questions, they can call. There's a number on the sign to call if they have questions, and work with those residents on how to reduce attractants from lions, keep your pets in, keep attractants, pet foods, those kinds of things out, because lions will key in on raccoons and other animals that come in to eat pet food. And so we're very careful about those kinds of things as well. So it's not easy. It's difficult to be on top of every situation, especially when it's a day or two old, and even when there's a pattern in a particular area. So we did have in-person responses on all those calls.
I think it's also important to note that there's abnormal and normal lion behavior as well. Lions are known to take and attack dogs. That's part of mountain lion behavior and part of living in mountain lion country. But mountain lion attacks on humans are very rare. This is our first since 2023 and the first fatal since 1999. So that's certainly something then that would require an escalation in resources and response from us.
I'm sorry, I got one more question, Matt. So would you consider this abnormal behavior from this family group?
What in specific are you referring to? Continued incidences or
I'm just saying, when we have incidents from October 28th to January 1, repeated encounters, not attacks, but encounters with humans and dogs, possibly from a same family members, is that normal, abnormal behavior? How would you describe that?
I don't think that's abnormal. I think we've seen a lot of situations over time where we get repeated sightings of individuals in certain areas and repeated incidences where a lion will be taking dogs out of a neighborhood and interacting like that. So no, I don't think that's abnormal.
Matt, I got a couple questions here, so just stop me if I am hogging things, but as my understanding and my belief is that the mother is teaching the kittens as they grow to hunt. Would if the yearling cats are going after humans, would the mother be teaching them that or tolerating that? Is there any indication as to how that works?
Great question. I mean, there's no indication that the mother was teaching that, because there haven't been other attacks on humans, or tolerating, really, because that was kind of the first incidents. Now, was she tolerating that approach towards humans or those previous interactions, or was she not there? We've got to keep in mind that these subadults were about a year old. So they're spending plenty of time on their own. They're hunting on their own. At this point, they can go out on their own and kill a deer. So they are out trying to live kind of like your teenager, right? Being as independent as they can without the mother. The mother's still there helping them out. They're sharing kills. So they are spending a lot of time on their own, investigating their world, coming back together with their mother, going back out, finding deer, stalking deer, killing deer, things like that. So that's that learning process. There's a lot of resources, food resources in and around human populations. It's a steady, constant food resource. And a lot of our research over the years has shown that females with kittens will actually use those areas more than females without. And that's primarily due to the amount of food resources in these areas, deer, elk, other prey items that are right there. Because raising kittens is a lot of work. Lactation will triple the amount of energy they need. So they're gonna come into these areas and utilize them, which gets to that other part of the behavior that I was mentioned earlier of not habituating to people, but habituating to these areas that provide a very important resource for them. So I don't necessarily think that the mother, and we don't even know that the third cat was the mother. It could have been another sibling. We haven't gotten our hands on it. So it could be a sibling or the mother. But chances are that what the message there is there's important resources here that you can utilize for food. And that's probably what is being taught in those situations, not that humans are okay. I think that message comes across pretty well, that humans are still to be avoided.
Does the DNA in forepaws of the male indicate to you that that was the mountain lion involved in the fatal attack?
Absolutely.
As opposed to having part DNA, it's more thoroughly covered with DNA, therefore.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm thoroughly convinced that lion was involved in the attack.
Mark, my question for you, when it comes to tracking this lion, just for people to have an understanding, A, how were you able to determine that there was a third lion that you needed to find? And also, at this point in time, what do you look for to be able to establish that you're finding or honing in on the correct lion, and that that this is exactly who you need to identify? Because I know you mentioned that you haven't even identified who the third lion is actually supposed to be.
We utilize dog teams out there, and so they are able to scent the trail and follow the trail from the attack site, and that's how we track them down and identify them. And the dogs will treat a cat in that situation. And the third lion was seen, and the trail was seen up there too. We just couldn't put that one up a tree.
Do you know how you would go about making that positive sort of identification? This is what, like, you're on to the right animal?
At the time, you mean?
Well, going forward here, like and how hopeful are you?
We won't know. We won't know at this point, because unless that animal is euthanized at some point, hit by a car or whatever, and there's human DNA on that animal's paws, which may not persist for this long, we wouldn't know. We absolutely wouldn't know.
So at this point, are you hopeful that you'll be able to locate that third animal?
We've given up looking for it right now. So we're still being vigilant, and making sure that we respond to calls up there, but we're not pursuing that animal at this point.
Kristen, anything more online? Anything more in person?
If two subadults are killed, is a mother mountain lion, presuming it was a mother, less likely to stay in that area and go somewhere else, leave the area? Is there anything typical for the behavior of the mother of two subadults killed?
Lions aren't really going to stay in the same area no matter what. She's not going to abandon her home range over it. There's been, hundreds of times where we've relocated cats because they were in the wrong area, or they were in the city limits or something like that. So we've done plenty of relocations of lions. They don't give up their home range like that. They're getting chased by hunters, so they're not giving up their home range. Would she be in the same spot? Probably not. All the experience we've had trying to trap lions or bait lions in to get collars on them, no matter what we do, even if we provide them with fresh deer, they're not staying put. They're going to travel their home range. So typical lion behavior is to move across their home range, make a kill, feed on that till it's gone, and then go travel their home range to another spot, make a kill. And in that way, they're covering their entire home range over about a month and making kills along the way. That's just kind of how they operate within a home range.
Two more questions, one quick. Any indication that the Cameron Peak fire pushed mountain lions more heavily into this area?
No.
No. And then the final one, maybe more for you, Kara, than anybody else, which is two of the people I talked to who were involved in an encounter said they felt that the sandwich boards should have had stronger language. Said people were pursued by lions here. Will you rethink any of that wording on the sandwich boards that are put up to make the threat a little bit more serious under a circumstance like this? Will there be any rethought of how you do that?
Sure, we can take that under advisement. Yeah. Oh, one more online? Okay, last question, Miles.
Sorry, I think we got our mutes. Hang on.
I'm sorry, Matt. Hey, given your home range, that home range thing, then was this just happenstance where these animals ended up in their territory in this Crosier Mountain area where the attack happened January 1st? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, and that just happens to be where they were on that day, traveling through their home range. And then, the specifics of what went on at that moment, we'll never know. What those lions were doing, what their behavior was at that time. That's just something that we're not gonna know.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Zoom. We're gonna end the Zoom now.